Hi, coffee drinkers, and welcome back to another episode of Coffee Not Tea. I'm your host, Miss K Legacy on the internet, and you guys, the world's going crazy. So I'm just gonna jump straight into the news, you all. We're gonna be talking about Mayor Ted Wheeler up in Portland getting tear gassed in the midst of all of their dysfunction and confusion. We're gonna be touching on Seattle and what's going on up there with their protests and their riots. We're gonna be touching on some negative comments that Congresswoman Senator Nancy Pelosi, what she had to say about our federal troops. I'm going to make a separate video all about AOC because she deserves her own video, especially with this last week of her just kind of sharking. We're going to touch on Bernell Trammell, a Milwaukee native, a Black Trump supporter who was actually gunned down on, was it Thursday? Yes, on last Thursday. We're going to touch on Ghislaine Maxwell, an update on her case. We're going to talk about the Chinese Consulate in Houston, Texas being raided after being shut down via Trump orders. And then we're also going to touch on the NFAC Black Militia. We're going to talk about their last failed demonstration in Louisville, Kentucky. So let's just jump straight into it, coffee drinkers, because we had a pretty eventful week. So large demonstrations turned violent around the country over the weekend as tens of thousands of Americans continued a months-long wave of civil unrest protesting racism and police tactics. Let's talk about Seattle really quickly. Seattle protesters hurled rocks and explosives at police officers during violent confrontations near the police department's East Precinct Station on Saturday. Dozens of people were arrested and 59 officers were injured, including many with burns and abrasions, according to the police. The explosive also caused structural damage. Structural damage to the station. Okay, in Portland, okay guys, so in Portland, marchers or protesters, rioters have been protesting for over 50 days, and this past protest, Mayor Ted Wheeler was out in the foolishness, the dysfunction, the debacle, and he wound up getting tear gas, which is slightly hilarious because, sir, what are you doing? What is it that you're doing? Why are you out in a protest? You are the leader of the city. And you know what? That actually explains a whole lot why your city looks so crazy, because you're out in the foolishness, getting tear gas like you're doing something righteous. What happened to law and order, standing for law and order? These protesters in Oregon were attacking the federal courthouse and federal troops. Do you know some of these troops have been allegedly beat? That sounds like my cat. I gotta spray her up, guys, because she keeps trying to interrupt my videos. Speaking out. I'll introduce y'all to my animals at a later date. They're loads of personality. But anyway, you know, allegedly, well, apparently, not even allegedly anymore, it's been factual, been proven that some of these federal officers have been left with permanent blindness because these protesters have been using laser lights and explosives, all types of things to try to come against our federal agents. And Nancy Pelosi actually made this very disheartening comment about our federal troops as she regarded to them as stormtroopers. And I don't know if you all know what a stormtrooper is, but a stormtrooper is like a member of the Nazi army. Like, these are Nazis known for aggression, violence, and brutality. She compared our U.S. federal troops to Nazi stormtroopers. What is wrong with Nancy Pelosi? That shows her patriotism. That is a perfect depiction of the patriotism of the left, of the leftists. They have none. If you look at our federal troops and can compare them to the Nazis, you have no hope in America. And she's a leader. So it's so frightening. It's so disturbing to watch these people really, reinforce and defend and incite all of this this dismantling of the system narrative rhetoric. You know, it's quite worrisome, to say the least. And I think that Nancy Pelosi should be ashamed of herself. Like, since when? What is up with the socialist agenda? So a democracy worked well for, and I'm going to talk about AOC in a whole nother video, but what is up with these socialists, these people who are pushing for socialism when they got to where they are because of the freedom of a democracy? You know what happened? They got into these high places and they decided that they wanted to line their pockets with lies to American people. So now they're trying to push taxes so that they can line their pockets some more. Nothing's wrong with the democracy. And it sure wasn't anything wrong with the democracy when these people were starting from the bottom. So stormtroop that. Okay? I can't believe she said that. I'm completely like blown away. I'm blown away by the officials and all that they're trying to do. Let's talk about the NFAC, okay? So y'all know the Not Effing Around Coalition, Black Militia, led by Grandmaster Jay, I believe it's his name. So they had a demonstration this past weekend in Louisville, Kentucky. They went because they're protesting the death of Breonna Taylor, which I want to say really quickly. I do believe that the Breonna Taylor situation was a tragic happening. And I don't believe that Black people need to be asking for justice for Breonna Taylor anymore, because I think we take away from the fact that Kenneth opened fire at the police. I think that the police understood that the no-knock warrant and the plainclothes orders caused a little bit of maybe confusion, could have been a little bit of bad protocol, bad policing, but those orders were issued because of the nature of how those drug traffickers operated. So that's why it was a no-knock warrant, and that's why some of the officers were in plain clothes. But as soon as they come in the home, Kenneth opens fire. Okay, he opens fire at the police, so of course the police are going to shoot. You know, now apparently there was an officer that had shot in the window or something like that. Maybe he should be held accountable, because that was just, you know, what was he doing? But as far as, you know, the result of what happened, it did not happen because of a hate crime. It happened because of maybe some bad police protocol, and also Kenneth opened fire at the police. And you know he got pardoned, right? Do people know that he was released? That was justice for Breonna Taylor, because by rights, Kenneth should be serving time for that. And he's really, because of his open gunfire, Kenneth got away with no wounds at all, and his girlfriend got shot all up in her sleep. You know, I'm raising eyebrows about that whole situation. So it's like, yeah, justice for Breonna, but why was Breonna shot? You know, Breonna was shot because of a result of a timeline of actions. You know what I'm saying? So I think that it was an unfortunate event. And I think that the police officers and the police station, or the police chief in Louisville, feels the same way, which is why he was pardoned, when in actuality, he should be serving time for what happened. So that's that. But the NFAC wants justice for Breonna Taylor. But during their demonstration, they shot themselves. Like, what? They're supposed to be a trained militia, right? So apparently there was like an accidental discharge and 3 of their members were shot. Clownery, foolery. First of all, what are y'all doing in Louisville? Why aren't y'all in Chicago? Why aren't y'all, you know, in Baltimore? Why aren't y'all in some of these crime-ridden places that are destroying Black lives and Black children? Why aren't y'all there trying to lay down the law? Y'all out in Stone Mountain and in Louisville, y'all not even coming against or combating any real danger or oppression or anything. Y'all protesting rocks and shooting yourselves. So what's really going on? Non-fatally shot. So that's why I'm laughing about it, because none of them died. They just stupid. Like, what do you mean? What's happening? How is it that y'all have formed this whole militia to do this, that, and the third, and y'all can't get nothing done but shooting yourself? Y'all up there trying to get justice for Black lives and wind up injuring your own Black lives. What are y'all doing? Making Black folks look crazy. Got us looking crazy. Go ahead to Chicago with that. Okay? Go accidentally shoot one of the criminals that had shot one of these babies out here. Y'all out in Louisville looking a mess. Let me see if I'll just read it real quick. Y'all, they out here looking like, look. They shot their own self. Y'all out there with all them guns for no reason, working at all them muscles working at T-Mobile. What are y'all doing? Yes, police say at least 3 people were injured in a shooting at Baxter Park. Louisville Metro Police Department confiscate a gun from members of the NFAC group. So they got their guns confiscated too. Oh my gosh, these guys, I don't know what they're trying to do. I just wanted to touch on that real quick, that they're out there, doing demonstrations. Ain't nothing getting accomplished. These people are racist. The NFAC, they racist. They're black racist, and you cannot tell me that they're not, I won't say that they're no different from the KKK, because they ain't really killed nobody or nothing yet. They just harming their own self. Shoot, never mind. I'm not going to make any off-color remarks because y'all may not be ready for me. But nah, these folks, the NFAC, y'all need to have several seats, okay, before y'all hurt yourselves. What is it, Finding Nemo? Don't hurt yourself, kid. You're loading the gun. You doing whatever you're doing. Don't hurt yourself, kid. Oh, but you hurt 3 people, including yourself. What's wrong with y'all? They need to go ahead and do something. Go to church. All right, let's talk about this Chinese consulate in Houston, Texas. Okay, you guys, so the Trump administration deemed this consulate, the Chinese consulate in Houston, Texas, as a spy hub shortly thereafter. Why? Because these people were caught burning documents. So the Trump administration calls for them to shut the whole operation down. Shortly after the operation is shut down, the consulate is raided by U.S. officials because they're trying to find out what this Chinese consulate was doing, while stationed here in the U.S. If you all don't know what a consulate is just a place that say we have one in Canada. So if I need to take care of United States business in Canada, citizenship wise, I can go to the consulate in Canada and get United States business taken care of. So it's kind of like a station for country matters to be taken care of in another country. So we had a Chinese consulate set up here in Houston. It was shut down. I'll go ahead and read this. Federal officials and local law enforcement surrounded the Houston facility Friday afternoon as the Chinese officials moved out of the building that the Trump administration contends was a hub of spy activity by the Chinese Communist Party. Also, TikTok is under a little bit of fire and scrutiny right now because TikTok is actually like a Chinese social media platform. So there is some suspicion that maybe some of that information that's being taken from TikTok from the American people could be being trafficked to the Chinese government. So 40 minutes after the 4 p.m. eviction deadline passed, U.S. officials broke into a back door of the consulate. A man believed to be a State Department official led the way of the U.S. takeover. Okay. Alleging that Chinese agents had tried to steal data from facilities in Texas, including the Texas A&M Medical System, the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston. And is there anyone else? Wow. It shows that they were like trying to pry these doors open to get in. Wow. They could not get in at first. Tuesday night, hours after the Trump administration announced its directive for the Chinese to vacate, the Houston Fire Department responded to fires at the courtyard of the building, an apparent effort to destroy documents. So Tuesday night, after the Trump administration announced its directive for the Chinese to vacate, there were fires. The Houston Fire Department responded to fires outside of this consulate courtyard because they were destroying documents. So guys, there's definitely some eyebrow raising activity going on. So after they were ordered to shut down, they were destroying documents, and apparently the building was so sealed that after they left, U.S. officials were actually having a little bit of trouble getting inside. So I'll be following this story. The Chinese consulate, the Chinese responded The Chinese government responded, they called the allegations malicious slander and responded by ordering the U.S. to close its consulate in the western Chinese city of Chengdu. So we have reportedly been told to close our consulate in Chengdu in China because we closed theirs here in Houston. So I'll be following this story. That's very, very interesting. So right after Trump administration called for them to close down, they started destroying documents, which is definitely an eyebrow raiser, and TikTok might come under a little bit of fire because of this. I'm going to touch on this really quickly. Ghislaine Maxwell, the Judge Loretta Preska in Manhattan, directed the release of large portions of more than 80 documents from a 2015 civil lawsuit against Maxwell, that they be unsealed. So these documents, the materials ordered unsealed, include flight logs from Epstein's private jets, testimony from depositions in 2016, in which Maxwell's lawyers said she was asked intrusive questions about her sex life, and police reports from Palm Beach, Florida, where Epstein had a home. So those are some pretty juicy documents that Judge Loretta Preska in Manhattan has ordered to be unsealed, including flight logs from Epstein's private jets, depositions of intrusive questions about Ghislaine's sex life, and then police reports from Epstein's Florida home in Palm Beach. So very excited to see what those documents will reveal. Ghislaine Maxwell, her trial is set for July 21st. 2021. So we have some time to wait. She's pled not guilty, of course, but we're gonna see what's going on because Pizzagate is just exploding right now. And I pray that everything's exposed. With Donald Trump as our president right now, a lot of that stuff is gonna be exposed, which is why, so many people on the left and so many people who hate Trump are trying to silence him and trying to get the American people not to support them because, Donald Trump, because he had already was like kind of in the game and had money, he knows what's going on. And I personally don't believe that he was involved in any of the Pizzagate scandal. I don't believe that's his character. I don't believe that he was involved in any of that. And I believe that people are scared because he knows the truth and he also has his hands clean. So, and we can see that kind of with the whole Chrissy Teigen thing that just unraveled not too long ago. All right, so I'm going to move on. And I'm going to leave on this note. Bernell Trammell, a respected Milwaukee community figure, a Black Lives Matter supporter and a Trump supporter, was fatally shot on Friday afternoon right in front of his own storefront. He ran a publication business, small-time publication business called Expressions Publications, if I'm not mistaken. And he was 60 years old. He was well known in the Milwaukee community for holding signs outside of his business with positive Trump 2020 messages, Bible verses sometimes, and he just had a voice and he was not afraid to use it. But unfortunately, the people of Milwaukee will no longer be hearing that voice because he was shot and killed on Thursday, which is a very sad event. This is Bernell. This is him. He's actually a really beautiful Black man. It's actually very sad that he lost his life. Apparently he was gunned down. The investigation is still ongoing. No suspects have been caught right now or taken into custody right now. And apparently he had some sort of a squabble or confrontation the 2 days prior to this incident with some protester, somebody who was not in agreement with his message, harassed him for about 2 hours, and then that was that. But then 2 days later, Mr. Tremelle was gunned down and fatally shot. So we do know that he was a believer, so God bless him. I pray that he's in heaven right now. I pray that he's met the King and that he's in a much better place in this crazy world that we're in here. I know a lot of people are afraid of death, afraid of dying, but we know that if you believe in King Jesus, then you have a promise on the other side. You have a promise of life everlasting on the other side, and we consider it joy to be caught up with our Father in heaven. So we're not down here dealing with all of this foolishness and all these crazy folks down here trying to destroy our country and take over the world with these evil satanic agendas. But I'm not about to go off, okay? I'm going to just leave it right there. I'm going to leave y'all on that note, okay? And I'm just looking forward to more of the news. I'm going to cover, not Judge Barr, but William Barr. I don't know his, is he the Secretary of Defense, if I'm not mistaken? He was on trial yesterday, so I'm gonna learn more about, he testified before Congress yesterday. So I'm going to cover that story probably tomorrow or on Mondays live. And you guys just keep staying updated and keep your ear to the floor with all this craziness going on in America. Stay tuned to my video about AOC, because I'm going to do my own video about her, just really dissecting her rhetoric, dissecting her position, and just dissecting her deceit. Okay, I love you guys with Jesus joy, and I will see y'all next time on another episode of Coffee Not Tea. Bye-bye.